We've been on the road now for quite a long time. We started off in Munich World Cup, the first regatta, and after a month and a half of the boat being selected, or maybe a month of the boat being selected, we had our first test of the year, and that resulted in a very, very positive first regatta, and we dominated our race and we won by a very healthy margin.
About a week before we got there, Tom James, who had been newly selected into the four, he came down with a rib injury, and so we actually raced at very short notice with Tom Lucy. He came into the boat. He's the youngest guy in the team, but phenomenally strong. So we actually only had 2 days together before we went out to Munich, and it was a dream start. Difficult conditions, but we had a really strong race, a strong final, and I think we won by about 7 or 8 seconds, so it couldn't have been better. It gave us a lot of confidence and had very high expectations with Tom James still to come back into the boat. The only downside to that first World Cup was Hodge picked up a back injury at that point. Certainly from my experience of Athens, where we went through that year, still won at the end, but the journey was quite a rough ride with illness and injuries. I knew that that's sort of par for the course for any year, particularly leading up to the World Championships. People are pushing their bodies as hard as they can. You're going to pick up illnesses and injuries, and you just sort of have to carry that and do the best that you can.
So we finally got back together for Poznan, the third World Cup. Now, it was very close to my back getting better, so it was quite a compromised regatta, but we still had a good result. We came second to the Dutch, our long-term enemies, and crossed the line only 1.5 seconds behind.
We got a silver medal behind the Dutch, which sounds bad, it's not where we want to be and was disappointing, but we'd just got Andy, our stroke man, and Tom back in the bow seats after injury, so we were quite pleased with the performance, and we knew we had a lot of work to do. So then we went away for the summer training camps to a mountain in Austria in the Alps, and trained for 3 weeks up at high altitude, and it was brutal training, very, very tough, but very productive, and we're in a really good way. And training at high altitude is a fantastic way to improve your body and make yourself fitter and stronger and a more efficient machine.
It's all getting pretty close now. There's probably only about two or 3 weeks before the first race for us, and it's very much there in front of us now on the horizon, and it's a big reality, so we're just trying to get everything prepared now so we don't feel unprepared when we get out there, to be honest.
We've been up a mountain for the last 3 weeks, and it's quite nice to get away from the reality of the situation, the Olympics in only 3 weeks. It's quite good to be able to concentrate on each session at a time, and it gives us the ability to really maximise each session without losing our heads. It's quite a nice mindset to be in because there's no pressure, and then you get a lovely day like today when all the media's here, and they remind you that actually there's an enormous amount of pressure and there's a lot to be done in those few days.
Usually the men's heavyweight go to France, and there's a really nice lake in Aigues-Billettes, South France. But we've all come back to Kawashima and training as a squad, which is actually much better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a bit of a pain, because it's quite nice to have a bit of your own time away, not too many people around, but it's actually quite nice competing against the women and the lightweights and seeing how the rest of the squad are doing, and everyone's going pretty quick, so it's actually a very good boost for getting the best out of yourself more than anything.
We're starting to get to the stage where we want to win for each other rather than just for ourselves, so that team spirit is definitely going to be what gets us through these next couple of weeks, which are going to be emotional and hard, and the biggest days of our life for sure.
The story leading up to Athens and the story for us leading up to Beijing has actually been very, very similar. There's been a lot of echoes from Athens in this year. Both seasons we had a very strong start. We then had illness and injury, and then came back with a full crew and didn't end up where we wanted to be in our last race before the Olympics. For me, remembering what we did in Athens and how we managed to put ourselves in a winning position after that, not perfect season. Just remembering that and personally having the confidence that I've been through that and still won, that's been very powerful for me this time round. And hopefully Andy and Pete and Tom have absorbed a bit of that confidence as well.
For the last 2 years, I'd say there are 6 boats with medal contentions. That means there are 6 boats which are going to be fighting very, very hard from the day one of the Olympics. And for us to be in front, we have to be better than we've ever been before. To me, there's not one competition. They're all out there to get us. At the end of the day, everyone who's going to the Olympics is human. No one's turned into a Superman. No one's going to be able to, pull out a massive performance which they haven't done before. The difference is who can hold it mentally, who can actually get the most out of themselves without A, destroying themselves, or B, underselling themselves, and being able to get right on that fine line. And to some extent, the Olympics is just another race. It's just another bunch of humans having a go at each other. So there is a balance. Hopefully I'll be able to bring out the most in me by relying on my training and relying on the stuff we've done as a crew, rather than thinking, what can I do on the day?